We got a,
Okay,
thank
you're all
you.
set.
It's 8 minutes after 4. Okay, and Karen, I had asked you if you would open the reporting on the recent billings.
Sure thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll start with the water usage. We sent out the bills towards the end of June. And we billed 230 customers, which included the municipal properties. Our service fee total was $24,709. And then the combined, the usage and the service fee together was $49,209.
Okay.
The next thing we worked on is we have a number of issues, and we encountered the software that we currently have is not really efficient, and it can't read the Neptune readers. So we have to find a way to get the software installed so that we can read those Neptune meters. Otherwise, we have to go out to each one of those homes and read them manually. We had a number of readings that were 0. We had a number of customers that weren't even on the list. I don't know how they fell off, but they fell off the list. We had a number of customers with high usage readings. And we are uncovering that there's 4 or 5 meters that need to be replaced. So there's quite a long to-do list that we need to start working on. I've provided the to-do list to Pettichuck, and they will turn those to-dos into work orders so that Whitewater can continue to fix and resolve all these problems so we don't run into it again in November.
So will we be going back and reading these again?
The ones that we have issues with, the guys went out and started looking at those. So those numbers have gone back to Pettichuck, and then what they're gonna do is put those all together and then rebill those customers with the updated numbers.
Okay. Yeah.
Does anybody else have any questions about usage? Okay,
about
so the next thing, oh, go ahead.
That's it. I was going to ask
What,
about the
Jim?
connection fees.
Okay, so now we have the liens that we have on the clients that are able or can be able to get public water. Those bills go out once a year, and I sent those bills out around April 30th. So what we came up with was the total invoices principal was like $50,900. The interest was $6,600 and comes to like a total of $57,500. To date, we have collected $53,900, and the outstanding amount is like almost $14,000. I have sent out a second reminder to these people that they need to pay. And I've also included in that notice that there's a 14% interest if they don't pay us. I am down to now, as of today, I have 17 people who haven't paid. It was 30. Now I'm down to 17 people. I'm in contact with 4 or 5 of those 17, and we're working towards getting them to pay us. One of the other issues that came up was that a woman paid off her bill twice. So we had to compensate her $4,500 to get that cleared out so that she got reimbursed for the 2 payments.
But that happened some
Um,
time ago,
and then,
correct? Karen?
yes, that happened in like 2012 and then again in 2018. So
Okay.
she let that go and started talking with a planning board member, and then they came to me through Jim, and we got that resolved this month. So she should be happy that she's free and clear.
How this came up was that she was looking to sell her property, and the lien still existed with the registry up in Barnstable, and so she essentially paid it twice in order to be able to get the lien lifted.
So does anybody else have any questions?
I just have kind of like an overarching question, which is, the goal is to try to get the readings and software fixed by November. Is that kind of the idea? So in
Well,
other
it would be
words,
nice, but
so
well, the problem is
we have some meters that don't read, we have some meters that don't work, and we have some meters that are incompatible with the software. Is
Correct.
that about right?
correct. Yes.
So, and so where is, Jim, have you had a chance to talk to Charlie at all about, this idea of, getting meters converted and so on?
Well,
I mean, that seems to me it might be something that we could do by.
well, I think there's a couple of other issues that have come up now with, that may complicate that. But I see Rebecca Slick is on with us, so that part of the discussion that we were going to have was, I had put on here on the agenda for an issue of contract extension for Whitewater, because their contract expires as of the end of July. But I don't know if Rebecca just wants to address what the concerns are about the fact that we may not be able to do another contract extension because we exhausted the extensions that we had on this, and that we have to go out to bid. So if that being the case, how that would impact on our plan with Whitewater in terms of the, resolving the meter issue.
Do you want me to comment, Jim? Are you asking
Yes.
me? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
please.
So basically, we just discovered we were going to pull the prevailing wage rates to extend the contract for another year. And I looked at the contract and noticed that we've already done our 3 extensions, like Jim had said. So I'm in the process of looking for the original bid documents so that I don't have to recreate a brand new bid. That's been proven difficult, but I have the IT guy looking on the cloud for me for the original documents. It's probably going to take from start to finish about a month, maybe 6 weeks to put it out to bid, to evaluate an award, because of the newspaper postings and all the other related postings as well. And I don't know if anybody on this commission was there in 2017, if you knew if there was competition for this.
Well, what I was saying is that I don't think that that any of that went through us. I don't know who was involved in renegotiating or extending Whitewater's contract back then.
Okay. Okay, and one of the things I'd like to do moving forward as well is, I don't see that it was even renewed every year. I find no paper trail of any renewal paperwork, which legally we have to do that. Because, if you weren't satisfied with Whitewater, or if you knew of somebody else that could do it for cheaper or whatever have you, you still have to explore your options before you actually renew. So I'd like to, I don't know, maybe if you keep the contract as like an agenda item that you just sort of go over even briefly for 5 minutes. Whitewater's performance and are they fulfilling the duties on the contract? Sort of create a small paper trail to go along with it. I think we could avoid doing things last minute like we are now.
Right.
But yeah, I'll need at least 4 to 6 weeks to do the entire bidding process.
So I did reach out to Eric Smith to see if he's going to join us, at 4:30, to at least make him aware of the fact that we cannot do even a 1-year extension on this now.
Okay.
So I don't know, Kurt, if that answers your question here. Obviously, it's the issue is more complicated now.
Well, I have, let me complicate it a little bit more because I in the back of my mind, I've always wondered whether, and we had some discussions both in our board meetings, a couple of times about whether we could actually, how the meters could be included in a contract. And I'm almost thinking that it would make more sense to just bid the meter work out. We could separately do that. I mean, I know that the original idea was that this is something that would fall within Whitewater's scope. So I just throw that out there. That's one option. The other option is that I think it might be worth considering or talking with Jay Norton about whether we might be able to find funding for the installation, and if there were either temporary DPW or other DPW support where we could get their help in installing the meters. I just don't know if that's a capacity that would be worth considering trying to bring in-house. Certainly for meter maintenance and something like that may make sense. So in other words, I know this is getting very confusing, but I almost wonder if there's a wider discussion about how much makes sense to privatize and how much might make sense to have, to see if we can develop in-house support.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Jim. I know that's a lot, but
No,
I just wanted to throw it out there.
I wonder if there are issues there with that you'd have to have somebody with a water system operator's license involved with this.
Yeah, Jay actually has that. I think he has that capability.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's we have to. There's a lot to that. I don't say it lightly in terms of looking at that, but it's something we've been talking about for a while. Given that we have a whole meter change out, a whole software change out. I'm not sure, in answer to your question, Becky, my recollection is there wasn't any competition last time on the bid.
When do you recall it? I don't even recall it, Kurt, when that happened.
I have a vague recollection of that bid going out when Justina was chair. And I believe there was no formal competition. And I remember some conversations vaguely about the fact that the contract was so cheap. She had said several times that she was amazed Whitewater could even do it for what they were offering to do the services for, and felt it was a very underpriced piece of service to the community. And that's about the sum total of my recollection, and that there was no other bidders, and that their contract was awarded.
And we cannot find a document associated with that extension.
I think the 17, Becky, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the 17 was in a contract award, right?
The 17 was the actual original contract, and then it
Right.
listed, I believe, in Article 2, the exercise to renew for
Right.
3 additional years. But when you
Right.
renew, yes, you don't have to go through the bidding process, but you still have to like evaluate and make sure that it's in the best interest of the commission not to go back out to bid, document it, and then recontract. So I
Right.
don't think any of the 3 years of recontracting. Jim, how long have you been chair?
Well, Justina was, I think it's been 3 years when she left and took the
Okay,
job.
so she signed the original as the chair. You would
I
have
don't
had to
think-
sign a
That's what I'm
contract.
saying. Well, we don't have anything in the files, so I don't know where it would be.
I don't think it happened is what I'm getting at. I don't think the renewal happened. I think it was just contracted in 17 and here we are. But that's fine. It's all water under the bridge. We're just gonna move forward. And the scope of work is a huge help that you sent me, because if I can't find the bid package, I'll have to recreate one.
Well, I lifted that, the contract with Whitewater.
Okay.
And reach out to, I can reach out to Justina and see if she's got anything.
Okay, that would be great.
I was hoping that something in the office where you are now, Karen, I'm sorry, Rebecca, because I think that I would have required the signature of somebody in the town administration.
Yeah, like I said, I have the IT guy looking, because it should also be on a computer, because
Right.
they would have had to fill it out in Word and then get it ready for, to be sent out to the bidders. I mean, I found the newspaper clipping, saying that you could get the bid package in the town administrator's office. Dan Hort was the administrator at the time. I guess his files don't exist anymore. I don't know. This is everything I touch. This is what's happening.
Yeah.
Yes. Don't touch anything.
Wow.
Well, the next item that we had here had to do with if there is a potential role for DPW in the management of the water issues, including water as well as wastewater. And obviously that, I think, is going to get, I don't know that we're going to be able to do anything with that, even with the next town meeting.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Tom.
Thank you. Should we reach out to the DPW to see if they had the manpower or the ability to do anything?
If you could just mute yourself, Tom, and I'll respond to that. Thank you. Kurt and I did talk with Jay Norton at DPW, and I mean, he's interested in being involved with the issue of the town water, and obviously that it's going to impact with the wastewater as well. But it isn't something that has been discussed with other than in just kind of like a quick review with Charlie Sumner on this. But I mean, he thought it was a good idea, but obviously it's something that's going to require the support of the select board as well.
We're gonna have a meeting with Tom. Hillary and I have a meeting scheduled Thursday with Jay, and it was mainly to talk about the
the wastewater articles that passed the town meeting. I will be sure to talk about water as well. I don't know, Jim. I'm tempted. I don't know that we should make that a double meeting. I think it's going to go too long.
Right.
It's just those 3 items, the wastewater stuff, trying to figure out how to squeeze that into DPW. We've got those 3 projects. We really have to talk through each of the projects. So that's probably going to be an hour anyway. But what I will suggest is we set up another meeting to talk specifically about water, bring up the meter issue, bring up the software and reading issues. And see what he, we could actually just reach out to him, Jim, now and see what he's got for maybe scheduling a meeing, either later this week or next.
Well, one of the things that I was going to suggest is that list of responsibilities or duties, contractors' responsibilities or duties that I sent out this afternoon. I think it would be useful if all of us really went over that to make sure we understand what the requirements have been and will continue to be for a water system operator. And I think that there are things on there in that list that I was not aware of, or that we should be expecting Whitewater to manage. And that's, I think, even more reason the question as to whether or not the cost of this contract, if it's reasonable to expect that we can get all of that work done for the amount of money that we have been paying Whitewater.
Jim, when you're talking about a list of responsibilities, are you talking about the scope?
It's like the scope of work there, a summary of work that's expected from Whitewater, and it's quite lengthy. Like how this came up was that, we had the discussion briefly about the condition of the water tower and the mildew on the tower, and that it hasn't had an inspection now in a number of years. And so when I went to look for the report, the last report we got on that was back in 2015. And the report was Whitewater. So I have a feeling they were involved in the selection of the contractor, and they were involved in basically setting it up. And if you read the summary of work or the responsibilities of Whitewater that are in the current contract, it's clear that's an issue. That is something that they were responsible to ensure happened and to supervise it. And I know that happened when we did it back in 2015, but I think we have to hold whoever is responsible for the work to essentially to the list of requirements that are in the contract with Whitewater right now.
No, not one.
So,
Well, I guess, Jim, to go forward, what would probably make sense is to, step 1 is to try to find the original Whitewater contract and scope of services. And
I have one from back in 2012 that went through 2015, but I don't have anything after that.
I don't think it changed in 17. I think that
15.
right, but the one that was issued in 2017, I think it was the same document.
But there's nothing that was, I don't find anything in our files that was signed. That's
Okay. Well, anyway, the first step is to get an RFP so that Becky has an RFP. The second thing is to probably set up a meeting with Jay to see what kind of capacity DPW actually has, and what they might be interested or not interested in assisting with regard to water system operation. Because whatever they might be willing to do or capable of doing might get severed out of the RFP, right?
Well, that's what I'm question, whether or not that's what we would need to do or want to do.
But I guess the way for the board, in my mind, kind of the way for the board to wrap its brain around it and, and ultimately vote on it and provide advice and so on, we'd have to have the contract, have the discussions with DPW, and then come back to the board and say, okay, here's what DPW is thinking. Is this reasonable or not? And, is this something that we want to recommend that DPW, take over or not? They might be willing to do something that the board doesn't think makes sense.
Well, what do you think of the idea of, say, that we take that list, the summary of work that I sent out today, and that we all kind of go over that during the next 2 weeks, and then at our next meeting, that we come back and discuss point by point, and then decide whether or not if any of this could be given over to DPW if Jay has the capacity to do any of that.
I was a little confused by the document though, Jim, because it starts, the summary, there's like a couple paragraphs before the summary of work. It's like it came from a different document. I don't know if we're missing something.
I just pulled this section out of the contract that existed between 2012 and 2015.
Oh, okay. What was above it though?
Essentially, the whole history of the water system.
Oh, okay.
And then there's pages on, what the town's responsibilities are as well.
So this is basically just the best document you had to be able to look at a summary of work, a scope of work.
A scope of work for a contract.
Got it. Okay.
Jim,
Yes.
that last line that in that section that Kurt was talking about, is data, the data is collected twice a year. Haven't we changed that? Weren't we talking about doing data collection maybe 4 times a year?
Well, this was what was in the contract back then.
Right.
Okay.
Be one of the things we had already discussed. Okay, thank you.
Obviously, but I think in the meantime, we still need to have somebody responsible to operate the system. And I would agree with Rebecca that we need to take, over the course of the next 4 to 6 weeks or however long it takes, that we get an RFP out. And even if it's just for a 1-year contract with Whitewater, because there are a number of issues that we will need to address going forward.
Jim,
Yes.
I think it is wise to have the option to renew though. It doesn't mean you have to renew, but at least you have the option in there, and then you don't have to go through the whole bidding process again.
Right.
So I think
But
it is a good idea to do the
do
1
it
year
now.
plus the 3.
Right. But as you're saying, we definitely need to go through a bidding process now.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
The only thing, Becky, in my mind, and maybe the only thing that I was thinking is whether it would make sense to change the scope. To the extent that,
Yeah, I mean, now's the time to have that discussion and do that. But, we don't have a lot of time either.
no,
because,
no, we don't.
I'm gonna try to get them to contract with us for a month, and if it's, as long as it's under $10,000, then we can just use sound business practices, but you can't do that every month because cumulatively it ends up getting over the threshold for the bidding, for the procurement, I mean. So if you're gonna change the scope of work, that should be finalized within, at least 2 weeks.
Becky, have you talked to Charlie at all about this?
Yeah, I've talked to him a lot about it the last couple of days. I think the main thing is that we really need the bid package. We can't find it. It's unfortunate.
Well, as I said, I have that file here, but as I said, the last contract that's in it was the one that expired in 2015.
Right. I have Whitewater's proposal when they submitted the bid, but I don't have the package itself. And I mean, I can recreate it with the scope of work. It's just a lot more work, but it, than changing dates on one that's already been created.
Right.
And it's fine. If we get to that point, then we have to do what we gotta do. But Dan's gonna check in the morning. I caught him at like 3:30 today, the IT guy. He's gonna work on it for me first thing in the morning and see if he can find it on I guess it would be your cloud or whatever.
Well, in the meantime, I can have Karen scan the entire contract from 2012 to 2015.
That would be great.
That would be useful for you.
Yeah, that would definitely help if she could do that. And also, since she's in the office, if maybe someone can let her into my office and maybe dig through the procurement files, there's got to be honest with you, every time I come to town hall, I'm torn in so many different directions that I haven't really had time to go through my own files. Too busy meeting with people in person. So
Yeah.
if Rebecca can let her in and she can maybe just do, she doesn't have to spend all day in there, but 10 minutes just looking through and seeing if there's something in there. My gut feeling is that it's in the town administrator's office, because it looked like Dan Hoare was the one that did it, not the ATA. It looked like the TA was the one that did it.
I can go back over to the water office and, go through the files again there, but Karen and I did do that.
Yeah,
Or last.
everything's needle in a haystack.
Yeah.
We're getting there though.
All right. Well, feeling that Eric is not back in the office yet, so, but I did leave him a detailed message about the fact that we cannot do an extension of the existing contract, that we have to go on a month-to-month basis right now, and that we need to get an RFP out as quickly as possible. The bids. So.
We don't have clarity on this meter thing though, and meter and software thing that really kind of, I don't know where I just don't know where that fits. Becky, did you ever work with anybody that had to install water meters before?
No, I haven't.
Tom, no, never. Did you ever have to contract for meters at some point?
No,
No.
not a previous town. The previous town I worked in had a water district that was combined with the fire department, and they were not, believe it or not, they were not affiliated with the town at all. They were their own thing, I guess. They had their own taxes on the tax bill, and they were completely separate.
And they had their own department to do all they did all their own work.
Because their funds were not even commingled with the towns. They were a fire and water district. Very, very different.
Oh, okay. So you had a complete, you had a municipal water and fire district.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole different kettle of fish.
Yeah, it is.
P-Town has its own, I wonder if it would be worth reaching out to them and see how they do theirs. I don't think they use Whitewater, do they, Jim?
P-Town? No.
Yeah. And then the next closest ones would be,
Eastham and Orleans.
I guess we probably need to do some research and just check into the other towns.
Well, the other, I think there's another wrinkle in this with what we've heard, at least the scuttlebutt we've heard about Eastham having concerns about Pennachuck. And so I don't know if they are considering changing that relationship for the billing. But that, it will complicate it if they move away from Penachuk.
I think I just got a clue on how the contract got executed in 2017.
How's that?
Justina didn't keep anything. Michaela had it all, and she was the admin. She was in that transition phase from water to
Town administrator.
yeah, to town administrator. I think because she had a dual role at that point. I think she had the documents and had and probably had Dan Hort sign off on them.
So let me
Michaela-
ask Rebecca if she has anything in her computer. I did already ask her earlier, but maybe she could look, differently now that you're saying what you're saying.
Yeah,
Okay.
she may have like some Michaela folders,
Okay, let
some
me
old
ask.
old Michaela folders or something like that.
I'm gonna
Michaela
text her right
works.
now.
And Michaela works at the isn't she in Yarmouth,
She's in Orleans. The last that I knew, she was in Orleans.
Orleans? I'll just try to track her down and see if she has any recollection. Because
But I did, one of the things I would say, we should be able to get a copy of whatever was signed from Eric at Whitewater.
Yeah, that'll be the contract for sure. We still need the bid package that went out to, when the bid got done.
Well, hopefully they have that as well, but
You're right. They may have kept the bid.
yeah,
may have
I
kept the
did,
bid
when I
documents.
reached out to him today, I did ask about that, but I haven't heard back from him.
Yeah, it's not exactly in their interest to, to provide us the bid documents so we can put it out on the street to require them to bid again.
Yeah. Well,
But it is what it is. We got to comply with the law.
um,
Well, do you want me to reach? I'm happy to reach out to Chatham and Orleans, Jim, and at least, do a little bit of research on, what they're, how they've organized.
yeah, that'd be great. I mean,
themselves.
Reach out to Jackie Beebe in Eastham to just check in with her as to what, if their plans are changing at all with regard to their relationship with Penachuk.
Anybody want to reach out to P-Town, Tom or Catherine?
This is way over my head.
Oh, come on.
No, it really, I'm used to data, but not this kind of data.
What would you think we would have been asking them?
Basically how they operate their water, so what DPW actually does to operate their water system, if they contract any parts and pieces, when they go out for meters, how do they bid for how do they get their meters, what kind of software they're using, just some basic operational questions.
I would, but I don't know anyone down in the. But,
I don't really know him, but the DPW director, Waldo, his name is Waldo, last name. I don't know anybody. I mean, I don't know the right people in Orleans or Chatham, but I can certainly network to them.
well, I'm just thinking that maybe Jay may know who to contact down in Provincetown.
Hey, Jim.
Yeah.
I just heard back from Rebecca. Michaela hasn't been employed in 5 years, so that would have been before 2017.
She stopped work for the town, for Wellfleet, yeah.
Yeah. So who was after her and before Rebecca?
Oh,
Well,
Xanthi.
but did she support Dan?
No.
I have her files and I've looked through everything and I didn't see any bid packages from her.
Okay.
I went down that road today for an hour.
Yeah, it was Michaela, Xanthi.
Courtney?
No, Courtney didn't.
She wasn't there that long.
Well, either way, Dan is gonna check the cloud tomorrow, so it won't matter, I guess, whose computer it's on. If it's not in the cloud, it's nowhere on anybody's computer, you know?
How long's the cloud been in existence?
A while. I mean, I have files from 2010, I want to say.
Okay. And so that covers what, email correspondence or
No, I don't know. I don't think it does.
is it the whole town electronic network?
I think it's the electronic network. I would I was surprised that when an employee leaves, they don't carry that email over to the new employee, but rename it
Right.
so that that employee can search emails, because so much goes on in your email that,
Right.
you know, isn't saved on your computer, and it's important to keep that. Whatever, it's done and over with, it's not there, but
No, but it's great. I mean, in a way, there's the silver lining is that because of the turnover that's occurred in town staff, you, Charlie, you know, in the accounting department, et cetera, I think there's a whole group of, you know, policies that the town's never considered, you know, in terms of transitions like these, how we should be, you know, managing the transitions, protecting the town's data, doing the handoffs, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, fortunately, most people that have come and gone are nice folks and they found a better job. But we, you know, if we had somebody who was malicious, we could also lose a lot of stuff too. And
correct.
so
Well, here we are, and it's not the end of the
here we
world.
are.
It's not the end of the world. We've got the scope of work, and you guys want to kind of revamp that. And if we have to create a new bid package, we will.
Well, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go back over to the water office and see if we have any place in the files there where any of the bid documents that were prepared before.
Able to resolve any of this today? I think we should carry it over, maybe have a short meeting a week from now and see what we've been able to straighten out.
Well, I think I still would recommend, Tom, that that each one of us go over that scope of work that's at least in the most recent contract that we had with Whitewater, because it does address many of the issues, the expectations about what would need to be in this. And as Kurt suggested, then we could decide whether or not we want to change any of that, like what you had asked about in terms of the frequency of data collection, and, you know, whether or not that needs to be changed now when we have an opportunity. So I have a feeling it's going to take us a couple of weeks anyways to get the scope of work cleaned up. And I think we all need to be part of that discussion. Anything else on that? So Kurt, you're going to out to Orleans and Chatham.
And do you want to try to set up a meeting next week? Like it's suggested, maybe try to circle back with our findings.
Yeah,
And,
well, either next week or you know, or the following week, whatever people can do, you know. but I would agree with Rebecca, you know, we need to move ahead on this fairly quickly. I'm available next week, so.
I kind of feel like we got to get on top of this. I think Tom's right. That, you know, both in terms of trying to get an RFP out and also timely and, you know, not getting ourselves backed up against the wall.
Right.
So, you know, and I can try very hard to get the research done for Orleans and Chatham. What my thought also was to send this, if you don't mind, Jim, I can send this scope of work to Jay Norton for his comments as well.
No, that's another thing, that they may have a copy of that contract with Whitewater over there in his office.
Really?
Just thinking that there may be, because, you know, it's it goes back a number of years, so I don't know if what I have started in 2012. So I don't know if that's something that would have been shared with DPW back then.
Well, you mind me send this? I'll just send this over to him, and you know.
Not at all, no. But in the meantime, I will get that contract over
What's
to
this Microsoft?
Karen and ask her to copy the whole thing and get it to, or scan the whole thing and get it over to Rebecca anyways. And if anybody else wants the whole thing, it's, you know, it's much longer than the portion that I sent to you. Okay. So, so should we try for a meeting then next Tuesday?
I will be out of town and I'll be traveling this time next Tuesday.
But if you, what I would ask, Katri, did you get that email this afternoon?
Finally, I did, yes.
Okay, so what I would ask is if you could take a look through that, and if you have any suggestions or comments on the scope of work that's what you know, that we would append to an RFP, you know, you feel free to, you know, jot them down and send it to me. And
Okay.
we can share
No.
it at the meeting next week.
Okay, I'll be able to do that.
Okay. So does Tuesday work for you, Tom, next week?
Yes.
Okay. And Kurt, would that be?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, I will check with Neil too, to see if he can join us next Tuesday. And Rebecca, I don't know if you'll be available, but I think it would be a good idea if you were, if we're going to be talking about the scope of work that would be part of that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I can just checking my calendar right now.
Okay.
Zoom makes it much easier. So next Tuesday, the 20th.
Yes.
Yep, I can at 4 again.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
So,
Maybe we'll have the bid package by then.
well, let's hopefully you know, if I do find something more in the water office, I'll get it to you. The next thing that we had on here was the fall town meeting request for funding for, well, the tank inspection and cleaning, and also the financial consultant. And my concern on that is that once you read through if you read through the scope of work, you'll see that the whole thing around the tank inspection and cleaning, that's something that's identified as a responsibility of the water system operator to coordinate that work. So I think that, you know, if we're going to continue with that and not take it on ourselves, then I think we would need to get this contract or this bid package out and get someone selected and make sure that that's part of the scope of work.
Sounds good, Jim. I mean, I'm kind of concerned about I know we do have that firm that was doing inspectional work.
Right.
Under contract, and I don't know what the recommended cleaning interval should be, given what the water tower looks like right now. And
I
I
think
don't know.
that we should expect from whoever is our water operator to advise us on that.
Yeah, it looks bad, but ours isn't the only one around that looks bad, but I don't know what the right interval is.
Yeah. I know.
I'm more concerned by the inside rather than the outside. For those inspections.
True, but the outside can also, I mean, the way I look at it is it's attacking the paint and it can corrode either way. You don't want that. You don't want that thing corroding on the outside or the inside.
Yeah, I don't know if there was the report that was generated back in 2015 was done by Underwater Solutions, and it was sent to Whitewater, and it was filled with all the photos of the interior of the tank and the exterior as well. But I think that's the last time it was cleaned, 6 years ago.
Was that just before the painting, Jim?
Yeah, I don't know. Looking at the bottom of this, I don't know if you can see it, but
Yep.
you see the tank there. It's still a little. It was discolored then.
Looks great in the photo.
Does, doesn't it?
Take the Wellfleet W on it.
It's not. No,
Wellfleet oyster.
with a big Wellfleet oyster, right? Yeah. Anyways, I think I don't know that we're going to take any action on that today. I think we've got enough in front of us right now to get this RFP, the work on the RFP done, to read through that scope of work, and let's come back together next Tuesday.
Sounds good, Jim.
Yeah, I think the only other thing that we had on here was the meeting minutes from the 22nd of June. I do have some recommendations for corrections, Karen. You still there with us?
Yeah, I'm here. Go ahead.
So,
Jim, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Before the minutes, did you want to talk about? Did you already talk about the town meeting stuff, tank inspection, cleaning, and then financial consultant?
Well, I think that we're not going to be able to. We don't know what we're going to be asking for yet.
The only thing that reason I wanted to bring it up while it's on the agenda there, not to screw you up, but we did find the original $125,000 appropriation for water and wastewater. I don't know if there was a discussion about the fact that that money had been used or swept or it disappeared. It was unaccounted for. Let's just put it that way.
Right.
They found it. So there is a full $125,000 available from the original town meeting vote in 2018 for water and wastewater consulting services. So with regard to a financial consultant, we wouldn't have to request that at town meeting.
Good, right. So, but I was under the impression that there was some recent question about whether or not those funds were used by,
Correct. Yeah, that's what I'm reporting. It's clarified, they were not used, and the full authorization is still available.
okay. 'Cause there was someone who was claiming that that had been used, as you
Right,
know.
they clarified it this week. So um, Lisa actually did find the original authorization. She did do a full trace on it, and that account was actually never set up. So the funds were never used.
Okay, all right. Good to know.
Yeah.
Happy day.
Yeah, no kidding. I know.
Yeah. So none of us will be going to jail for that.
No, not yet. We still have time.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So with that, having said that, uh, can we move on to the minutes?
Yeah, I just wanted to, I had to get that news out. I'm
I'm
sorry.
glad, believe me.
Jim, I'm gonna hop off if that's okay.
Thank you, Rebecca, thank
You're
you.
welcome. I'll see you guys next Tuesday.
Thanks,
All right.
Becky.
All right, bye.
So I'll go through my list here. There's a few items in this, Karen, that I would ask if we could change it. In the minutes,
Listening.
okay. And in fact, what I can do is I can send this over to you, but and then maybe what we do is that we can then review these at the revised version at next week's meeting. How's that? Unless
Whatever you need.
yeah, Kurt or Tom, did you have any changes to the minutes?
I didn't see anything out of place.
Okay, I'll send, some of it's just spelling and a few things in there. So I will send these over to Karen. And are you in the office tomorrow, Karen?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, so I'll drop it off with you. All right,
Jim, I have a question if I can ask. I had
sure.
trouble signing into the Zoom meeting tonight. Did all of you use the address as it was on the meeting agenda? Just click on it the way we usually do and you came in?
You
I
know,
did.
yeah, I went on the town website and on the calendar and opened up the meeting, the Board of Water Commission for today, and in that it includes the link for the
Okay, because
login.
yeah,
I
I
find
don't know.
that's
So
I
one
don't know
on
if there's something
two.
in my own computer or that there's something with this format that was a problem.
yeah.
I did what Jim did, just to be clear.
I find it's more accurate. It's easier, and that it seems to be correct. So
To go through the town website?
you go on, the home page for the town, and
Okay,
there's the little calendar on the right-hand side.
yeah.
And if you click on the meeting for the Board of Water Commission, and it comes up, and there's a link right there to join the meeting.
So you just went on that way?
Yeah.
Okay, because it took me, well, I didn't get in until 20 after, and took me about a half hour to figure out how to get on today. And I
Yeah.
didn't know whether it was something here with my computer or, something else. Okay, thank you.
That raises one more issue on this. That as far as I know, there's still not been any final recommendation on what's happening with the remote meeting. Do you, Kurt, have you heard anything more?
I heard that it was that we were okay until like next April. And by
Yes, that's correct.
and then they're gonna try to figure out how to do a blended format, so in person as well as including Zoom participation.
Okay. So for the time,
Does that mean we'll be on Zoom until next week?
Yeah,
No in-person meetings?
I don't think right now the town has the media capability to
Right.
do both an in-person and Zoom participation. That's the challenge. There's 3 locations we can do it. One's the COA. I think there's the capability in the basement of town hall. And then there may be the capability at the library, but it's really hard to have a panel of people that are on Zoom at an in-person meeting and then figure out how you're going to be able to call on them, how they can ask questions. And there's a whole nother, link up challenge so that they hear what's being said in the room and the people in the room can actually interface with whoever's up on the wall there.
Why do we need the Zoom people?
I agree with Catherine.
It's beyond our pay grade a little bit, but the sense seems to be that because the level of participation has gone through the roof at most town meetings as a result of having Zoom, that the increased participation was worth trying to figure out how to maintain. And so that was sort of the thought behind it.
Okay,
That's kind of what the Board of Selectmen are feeling. And I think even the governor, because the governor is the one who extended it, the emergency order to allow the Zoom meetings to continue. So the state legislators, the governor's office, our Board of Selectmen, they're the ones who are all thinking about this. And I'm just relaying sort of what the conversations have been like to come to the decisions that they've come to so far.
okay, so the fact that we missed those little meetings around the table where we were all together, we're just a small little part of a very larger situation.
Well, they want to bring it both. They want to bring that back also. And so they want to try to do both.
Why did they choose, and you don't know, but hypothetically, why did they choose, we have to keep the Zoom? We're only going to do one or the other. Why not do it around the table?
Well, whatever. I mean, if that's the decision that somehow is connected to the governor, we'll have to live with it, but at any rate.
Yeah, the governor extended the emergency, and then the Board of Selectmen have been discussing how to create a combination meeting.
Okay.
Right. All right. Well, if there's nothing more, I would recommend we close the meeting.
So moved.
Thank you. Thank you for all the work you're putting in, Jim. I don't know what else you do in your life with all of this stuff that we're dealing with recently.
I'm bored, otherwise I'm bored.
He's doing laundry. Look at how nice his shirt is.
And it's mosquito season for you, Kurt. I mean, how can you do that?
It's unbelievable. We have 10,000 times the normal larvae population that we've ever had.
They were mentioning that on the radio this morning. Wellfleet has become mosquito central.
Yeah, Eastham, Wellfleet, Truro, and Provincetown. It's just they're really bad.
Yeah.
All right,
And,
Gail, any pearls of wisdom for us before we sign off?
Was that addressed to me?
Yes.
Oh, no, but have a good week, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Also, the library has extensive hours when they're open starting this week.
Great. Great. All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Jim.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye now.
Bye.
Bye-bye.